So you know what? Since we're doing our first Zoom and we got Stewart on here, I probably shouldn't be playing the theme song. I should probably be giving him his props doing this.
Which is totally okay.
He said, "Go ahead and plug me." Play it in the background.
Yes, Stewart's like, I'm here for this. I'm here for it.
Yeah, Aftermath is different this time. It's not just audio; it's video. You get to see our face. So you got Easy's ugly mug, which is actually my ugly mug because we're brothers and we look alike. We got our homeboy from out in Vietnam joining us back again, Stewart Gatsi, hanging out. Stewart, the high budget applause is everywhere. It never goes away, even on here.
Good to hear that.
Yes, man. Yes, sir. What's going on?
Not much, man. Just taking it easy. Yeah. Relaxing in Ho Chi Minh City as much as I can.
Man, so this is cool. You are, being our first, you know, video interview. We've been trying to cross over into this for a second. So when you mentioned that, it just kind of sped up the process a little bit. So we're glad to have you back to talk. We're gonna, keep it lighthearted. We're gonna talk, this is sports related because sometimes, my brother and I'll get on here and shoot the breeze about sports. So that's what we're gonna do with this one. But wanted to start off, first, man, with that crazy, devastating news last night, man. The passing of Chadwick Boseman. He's a hero to a lot of people because, he did a lot of stuff, but a lot of people are gonna remember him as being Black Panther, man. How'd that hit you when you found out about it, Stuart?
Well, that was a big shock to me. First of all, I didn't know that there was anything wrong with him to begin with, but I heard on the news earlier today that he had colon cancer, which that's a huge shock. But then what's even more surprising is the fact that he didn't tell anybody about it. And so, that it says a lot about him and what was important to him. But definitely shocked. He was only getting started, in my opinion.
Yeah, a lot left to go, and it's disheartening. As we talked about a little bit last night, man. But for show purposes, how that hit you, man? Because I know that was important.
I'm just devastated, honestly. I was literally just telling somebody yesterday how he's not getting enough credit in regards to like being one of the greatest actors. And I was just basing that off of his trajectory. I was like, man, look at who he's played at 40 something, and just imagine the roles he's going to get as he ages into his 60s and goes into, his 70s and all that. And literally had no idea that he was sick, and that unfortunately he would pass away. So, I'm giving him his flowers. I think he's one of the greatest actors we've had to watch. And, a lot of people remember Black Panther, but there's a lot of good roles that he's played out there. And I think he needs to get just as much credit for those roles as he did Black Panther.
Man, agreed. My big memory with him is actually something personal because like when Black Panther came out, like I took off from work and I told my oldest daughter, I was like, you know what? Don't even worry about school today. Like we don't worry about it. So I let her skip school. Herself, my wife, we went to go see Black Panther during just the middle of the day. And hopefully that's a cool memory because it is for me where I wish when we were younger, Dad would have told me not to go to school and just go to the movies or whatever. So, but it was just that important, that was like, I truly, our first Black superhero, and he'll always be remembered for that. But there's so much more. Like I was telling you yesterday, one of my guilty pleasures is that movie Draft Day. It's ridiculous, but anytime I see it, I'm all into it. But yeah, we just wanted to, take a second in the beginning to, mention something about that. It'd be wrong if we didn't, but we could just move forward and try to keep it lighthearted and talk about sports during COVID and all that other stuff in between. So we could start off talking about, well, like the NBA. The NBA seem to have gotten it right. I see my man EZ got on his Pelicans jersey. He representing right here, even though we didn't make the playoffs. But so Stewart, let me ask you, man. So with this bubble situation, we're getting back to sports in the NBA. How did you feel it was going to work? Because Easy could take a victory lap because I was the first one. I was like, oh, it's going to fail. It's not going to work, and they've done it perfectly. So, have you watched any basketball? Have you been interested in what they're doing? You know.
Well, I've taken a general sort of view across the world because I'll take a peek at basketball sometimes, but I'm also a huge English soccer fan, and I follow European soccer leagues. So I noticed that in Germany, for example, they opened up. In England, they opened up as well, and generally like the major European tournaments. And then you also see like baseball wise. In South Korea, they opened up as well. But here's the thing for me. I understand the need to get back to business and to get people working because there's a spin-off economy, that comes from sport, and it's worth billions. Just looking, for example, at Forbes estimates, they estimate that because of the closures, just in the US alone, there was a loss of about $5 billion in sport. So the effect is huge, but my question or conundrum comes from this point. Like, what do you value most? Human life or economic prosperity? And it seems to me, while people have taken into account different medical experts' opinions and all this stuff, I just personally think that it's inevitable that the sportsmen and women, some of them are going to contract COVID-19. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. The only question is, to what effect, and how does it affect them? And how I answer that is, well, they have the best medical care in the world. So they'll be okay, mostly, I believe. But still, it comes down to that question. What is more important, human life or money?
We're kind of learning that it's a little bit of money, a lot of money actually, because I was
right.
Yeah, I was a proponent that they shouldn't even be playing during this time. But as I wanted to ask you, man, because you said from the beginning that the way that the NBA was setting it up, since they're so progressive, which they have been, they've been ahead of the game, like the leaders and all this stuff. So is that what let you know that it was going to work, just based on the fact that they got more solid leadership than some of the other leagues?
Well, that, and I mean, they just laid out their processes. They laid out, hey, this is what we're doing. These are the rules. If you break these rules, these are the results if you don't follow our direction. If you have to leave the bubble for a family emergency, this is the process to get back in. I think they had that very
Magic
well
City.
planned and very, oh Lord. I was thinking more like Mike Conley, who had to leave because his daughter was born or his child was born and he came back. But, we can talk about Lou Williams too. But I just thought that they had a good process in place, and the rules applied to everybody. Whether you're the ball boy, whether you're the NBA reporter, whether you're the player, whether you work for the organization in the office, all the rules were the same. So I felt very confident about their plan, just because not only, number one, it seemed smart on paper, but number two, it just felt really safe. Even though I probably wouldn't enjoy being stuck in one place, but then again, when you have all these amenities and these things available to you, it kind of makes it feel a little more normal. But I felt confident in the NBA just because I felt like they had a process, and most importantly, they had a bubble. They had one site where everybody was, and the only way you could get in is if you test negative. You test negative. Even when you test negative, you still had to quarantine for 10 days or something like that. and then you were able to go around the bubble as you please. So I felt like they were very well prepared for this, and they took it seriously from the jump.
I applaud them for doing it. It brought sports back, and then you wonder about, I guess, what we're gonna really get into, because we know that Stewart is a fanatical NFL fan, just like we are. That we didn't know that they're not even really mentioning their contingency plan. They're just like, we're running full speed ahead with our season, and it's like, okay, but what does it look like though? Like,
Well, I mean, just a few months ago, they were saying, "Oh, we plan to have full stadiums," and you just
now you can,
flipped your shit on that
yeah,
one.
because you can see my facial expression on that, like full stadiums. Like, you can't even have gatherings over, 50 people, and you're talking about, you know, 70,000 people in a stadium. It just doesn't make any sense. But we got all serious in the beginning. Now it's time to get into some shenanigans. So, Stewart, man, your team, you're just to explain to the people who may not have heard the first interview you did with us, you're a fanatical Kansas City Chiefs fan, and y'all are the champions, man. Y'all won the Super Bowl, man, in a really good game. I was sitting there hating the whole time because Easy and I, we're NOLA guys, so we're Saints fans. So we were like, we've been robbed of our chance to win another one the last 3 years. So how are you feeling about your squad, man? Y'all are loaded. You got a video game quarterback. How are you feeling about y'all chances?
Well, I mean, I feel pretty good. Everybody came back mostly. I mean, Sammy Watkins took a pay cut, even, to come back, which is, I think, pretty phenomenal in modern football. And we've also added a running back. And
they got
we had
Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's gonna be
right,
so good.
yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
God.
CH. I think he's going to be pretty fun to watch. Just the way he makes people miss, I enjoy watching. So as far as our chances, I feel pretty good, but I still have a concern about the players. Right? There's contingency plans. There's a bubble. There's all this stuff. People wearing masks. Andy Reid's got his whole face covering going on, and which is fine. But what happens when one player gets really sick? Because that hasn't happened yet. So I get concerned. Like, you score a touchdown. You ever seen somebody celebrate a touchdown? Everybody's screaming in each other's face. So yes. I worry about that. But as far as our chances go, I feel that we can at least get to the AFC Championship game again, at least. That would be low expectations.
Man, low expectations is the championship game, Ezra. If only other teams could be so fortunate to say, if we just make it to the Sunday before the Super Bowl, we'll have a pretty decent season. But let's talk about your division for a second. So it's the AFC West, which the Chiefs have been just ruling ever since Mahomes got there. You look around, you see that the Chargers picked up, the quarterback slipping my mind. Who did the Chargers pick up? Easy.
I mean, they drafted Justin Herbert from Oregon, but they already had Tyrod
Taylor. That's what was crossing my mind. He's a pretty decent quarterback. And then, just looking around at the division, the Broncos, they're not what they used to be. Von Miller's still out there. We talked about the Chargers. And then the Raiders, we don't know what they're going to end up being either. But do you feel like any of those teams could kind of push you guys a little bit? Like, one of them could kind of – I know division rivals, it could go either way with those. But do you feel like there's a team that could probably push you guys?
Well, I think we were the AFC West champions before Patrick Mahomes showed up. So we had Alex Smith, and we were still wiping the floor with – the entire division. So as far as that's concerned, they can buy whoever they like. They can get Lamar Jackson. I don't care. We're still going to win.
Man,
where's the lie? I mean, you know me. If I disagree or if I feel like somebody's just trolling, like, I would have called them out. But Stewart's 100% right. Who am I to tell him that his team, who has arguably one of the best tight ends, obviously the best quarterback, one of the best receivers, a defense that is good enough to just hold the team to like 20 points, because that's you got to get at least 20 points to even run with the Chiefs.
It's
So
still,
I mean,
it's still not enough.
it's not enough. I mean, I 100% agree. I think the floor for them is the AFC Championship game.
Jeez, and
Who in the AFC is gonna give them a run for their money besides Baltimore?
we forgot one other thing that pre-COVID, go take your behind the Arrowhead in December and January and tell me how easy it is to go in there and win. You tell me how simple it is to go in there.
I mean, good luck, because I mean they can travel well too. I mean, they just Baltimore hasn't even won a playoff game yet under Lamar Jackson. So we know they're going to be up there, but they haven't done it yet. So you got to really kind of keep them in limbo until then.
Right. And there are two things with Baltimore. You said that, under Lamar Jackson, they haven't won a playoff game. And number two, generally speaking, the whole of last season, Lamar Jackson didn't win many games coming from behind. So when he has to throw the ball and catch up to somebody, it's maybe he's a lot less effective, I think. Whereas like if they have a lead and then they can run the clock out, they can run the ball, they're great at running the ball. So I think that's those are two things that I think he needs to overcome. Like for me, I do not see him as a threat until they win a playoff game. They have to do that at the very least, because you can have a perfect season, but then if it comes to the playoffs and you still don't win, then what's the point?
100%, no doubt about it. And I mean, props to Tennessee. They got to the AFC Championship game, but they had no business losing to them.
Oh, go look at Ryan Tannehill's stats during that playoff run, and they paid that man. Don't get me started.
This Derrick Henry.
That's the thing. Put 8 in the box. Like, we're acting like the Baltimore Ravens didn't have a good defense last year. Like, put 8 in the box. Yeah. If I'm a defensive coordinator, I'm daring Ryan Tannehill to throw for 300 yards on me.
I'm begging him. I want him to throw the ball 35 times. I'm asking for it.
On offense, they have some decent weapons. AJ Brown's really good, but a lot of those guys are not proven. Like, put 8 in the box, and I'm gonna make Ryan Tannehill throw for 350 to beat me. If he throws for 350, then you win. Yeah. But
you got me.
I mean, you got me, but I like my chances of having him sit in the pocket and try to throw the ball.
So Stewart said flat out, look, we was winning the AFC West with Alex Smith. Don't get me started on Alex Smith. We got a real scar with him.
Do not get me started on him.
He decided to have the game of his life against our team in 2011. I'm still heartbroken behind that Saints loss to the 49ers in 2011. That's as hurt as I've been. And we got shafted out of a Super Bowl trip not that long ago, and that loss is the one that still sticks right here. But you look across the rest of the AFC about, since Stewart said, look, you can go ahead and pencil us in the championship game. Who's the main competition in the entire AFC? Because you like the West, like I'm not concerned with them. So when you look around, that Brady's gone to the NFC now. He's actually our problem because he's in our division, the NFC South. So when you look around the AFC and you're like, well, who's the main competition that could stop us outside of our division? Is it Baltimore? Or is there another team you see?
Well, I mean, actually, okay. Baltimore, yeah, sure. Absolutely is a contender. There's no question about that. They have a great team, great defense, great run schemes. Lamar Jackson's getting better at throwing. And he's only going to grow. He's still very young, by the way. I think he's going to do great things. But here's the thing. Our biggest threat is every single team that we play. And here's why. Everybody is going for it on 4th down against the Chiefs. Everybody is trying to fake a punt against the Chiefs. And the reason is they know, generally speaking, it's going to be a high scoring game. So they're going to go for broke and try and score as much as they can. So I think it makes it tougher. Just, number one, being known as a high scoring team, and number two, being a defending champion. I think that's probably a much more difficult thing, because everybody brings their best against you now. It's not like they weren't before, but I think there's much more intensity behind it now. But specifically, if you want to talk teams, absolutely, Baltimore is a threat if they continue what they were doing. I think Indy can potentially be a threat. The Colts. I believe Drew Brees is over there right now. I don't necessarily say he's the best quarterback, but definitely he can.
Oh, you talking about Phillip Rivers? Phillip Rivers.
Oh, sorry, not yeah. My mistake.
That's right.
And so I think that they could have a fairly decent season. And as far as anybody else, Houston could potentially do well. It just depends. Maybe if they have a better coach that can, instead of faking a punt, actually kick the ball.
He should have been fired 3 years ago. He should have been fired 3 years ago. We're not gonna talk about that.
I was gonna say Houston just because they arguably have one of the best quarterbacks in the league in Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
And I know they lost DeAndre Hopkins, but I think Deshaun Watson is still good enough to win games with them. And I mean, they have a very good defense too. Their defense is well coached. In my opinion, their division it's really them and a bunch of unknowns besides Tennessee, but they've showed that they can beat Tennessee. So I think it's their division to lose, but it's kind of like the AFC West. They got a few teams that are like, you can see the talent on the roster, you can see that they have potential, but where's it gonna go? Jacksonville's got all the opportunity in the world, but like, what is that team gonna look like? What, Gardner Minshew's your quarterback going into his second year?
What do you think about the Bucs?
We hate them, but that's just
yeah. I was gonna ask you about the NFC since you're neutral when it comes to the NFC. In the NFC, who do you see potentially going represent in the Super Bowl? I mean, obviously the 49ers were there last year, but they made some interesting transactions in free agency. I didn't like what they did in free agency. I don't think they got better.
I think the Saints should be there. In my opinion, they're a really good team. Score a lot of points like that. That's like a team that you want to see there. So I think they could do it. I'm not sure what happened. Did the Saints make it to the playoffs the last season?
Yeah, I mean, you could say we made the playoffs. We lost to, was Minnesota a 6 seed? We were the 3. We lost to a 6 seed.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins had the game of his life.
Quarterbacks who are just okay in the playoffs have the games of their life against us in the postseason. Because if I name off all the quarterbacks that we've beaten since we've been good under Sean Payton, and then if I name you the ones we've lost to, I mean, the playoff losses we're talking about, I mean, Rex Grossman, I mean, Alex Smith, Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins last year. We've seen that Jared Goff isn't what we thought he is. But then it's like when we play major competition, we've beaten the Brett Favres, the Matthew Staffords, Peyton Manning, Kurt Warner. We're beating them, but then when we play, these average second-tier Joes, we get beat in the playoffs. It's frustrating, man. It is frustrating.
But I can relate to that because I've been a Chiefs fan long enough to witness us lose games that we should have won in the playoffs. I was around long enough to experience the feeling of the curse, in quotes, right? We couldn't win a playoff game for so long. And there was always something, right? There's always some little thing or quarterback has the game of his life or somebody drops the ball, something weird like that,
Yeah, it's the worst. I mean, and so you look at we probably should have been at least in the championship game all 3 years that we've had in this run, where we won 13. We won more games than anybody in the league with nothing to show for it the last 3 years. It's incredibly frustrating. And to me, I'm eventually your window is gonna fall through. So I'm not as I don't have the Stewart Gatsi confidence in us because we keep getting our hearts broken in these big spots. And how many times can you come back from that? So I know Easy probably looking at me like, dude, what's your problem? But I'm just like, man, how many times can you come back from these walk-off losses and just shake it off? Eventually that has to catch up to you, right?
Well, no, I think Stewart made a great point. I mean, look at the Chiefs since Alex Smith became their quarterback. They've
Even
had,
before.
I mean, I don't know what year it was, and I'm not trying to rub salt in the wound, but there was like one year y'all were up by like a ton, and then lost to Andrew Luck. Was it the Colts?
I think,
But like
yeah, lost to the Colts. And then there was
there's
a time
some,
we lost to the Titans as well.
yeah,
Uh,
like there's some really heartbreakers on the resume, but I think what 16's worried about, just like y'all had Alex Smith, and I know Alex Smith's not close in age. I know Drew Brees is much older, but y'all had Alex Smith, and then y'all transitioned to Mahomes, and obviously that took you guys through the roof. But I think that's the key is like to continue being a contender and to continue winning football games, you got to make sure that you have a good succession plan in place when it comes to quarterback. You know, I don't know if Taysom Hill's the guy. I don't know if Jameis Winston. I don't know if it's somebody that they're going to draft. But whenever Drew hangs it up, as long as you have a good quarterback in the wings, you can still continue to get heartbreaking losses in the playoffs, make the playoffs, whatever you want to call it. So I think the key is just having a succession plan. We just don't talk about it as much because we don't know who that is. Whereas I feel like the day the Chiefs drafted Patrick Mahomes, everybody and their mama knew that Alex Smith was on his last
They knew
few
this.
days, or they knew what was coming.
Yeah, I think that. Why do you think it is that there's this sort of, I don't know, smoke and mirrors behind succession quarterback? Or is it because they haven't found one yet?
I think they 100% feel it's Taysom Hill, and people like me can see the potential of Taysom Hill, but I'm not sold on it. Whereas like Patrick Mahomes was highly coveted coming out of the draft. Rumors were that the Saints were supposed to draft him at 11. Y'all got wind of it, traded up to 10, and took him. So, I think Mahomes, there was a lot of unknown, but the fact that you had the system in place, you had the weapons in place, and then obviously Andy Reid's one of the greatest coaches in NFL history, and especially now since he has a ring. You already have a guy who's proven that he can develop quarterbacks and have them play at a high level. I think it was just kind of a marriage made in heaven. Whereas the Saints have only had Drew Brees. Even before the franchise got him, we've only had consistent success with Drew Brees. So it's a matter of he's visibly declining. You have a coach, you have a system, you have the weapons in place.
Somebody was saying that 4 years ago. Sorry. Something here. Sorry.
Anyways, you have all of that in place, but just because you have that in place doesn't mean somebody's going to take it and run with it. So I think that the unknown is just there. Like football is just so much, there's so much unknowns, man. Like in football, like the Rams, for example, the Rams, before they started their run of making the playoffs every year, they were the worst team in the league.
Yep.
And then the following year, they made the playoffs. So the NFL is just full of unknowns. I just was talking smack earlier about the Jacksonville Jaguars, but based on NFL trends and history, they very well could win their division next year, just because. So I think there's just a lot of unknowns. You guys have made it look really easy. You had a good starter. You traded him away for some really good capital.
I'm not sure about easy, but 50 years of heartbreak, and hearing about the days of Joe Montana and thinking I'd never see those days again, and then hey, so I guess with time anyway, and the way I look at it, it's your sports team is like your religion. You can't really give it up, even when you're losing.
That is true.
Yeah.
Because this last loss, like against Minnesota, I had to take a break from the Saints for a little while. Easy will tell you. I was like, bruh, like I don't want to hear nothing about us. I'm irritated, and I just need to separate myself for a second. Like I just need to step back and like figure something out. Because I was just like, I didn't want to see or hear anything about football. I had my fill. And so when you mention about the Saints, I guess possibly being good. I mean, I know it's a good enough team. It's a 10-win team on paper. I mean, we got that. But who are the other contenders or challengers out there? I mean, you know, with the Packers, they have Aaron Rodgers, so you always got to consider them just due to the fact they have Aaron Rodgers. And Seattle with Russell Wilson, they have a great home field advantage, you know, pre-COVID, obviously. But when you look out at the NFC, and again, it's good to talk to somebody who's unbiased, because usually when we're talking NFC football with folks, especially around here, it's soaked in bias because everybody's a fan of a team, you know, in that division or in it, mostly NFC people here since it's the South. So when you look at the NFC, Stewart, with you being, again, unbiased, who out there looks like they could be a contender to come out of the NFC along with the Saints?
Well, I mean, you mentioned the Packers. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is still out there, and to me, I think that he is one of the most frustrating quarterbacks to root against, because you support your team, and it's always every time when you think you have him, that's when he hurts you the most.
Yep.
And it's frustrating because it happens over and over and over and over again. That's how good he is. So I can never count the Packers out. Teams with good defenses as well. 49ers, you mentioned they made some trades, but that pass rush, I mean, just in the Super Bowl, 4-man rush.
Yeah, no, they're
we couldn't
I
stop
wasn't
that.
a fan of their offseason, but they're still going to be up there.
Yeah.
To make the playoffs, no doubt about it. I mean, the way they run the ball, their defense, like you mentioned, they're still very good. I just think that them and Seattle are just going to break each other's necks to try to win their division. Not even to make the playoffs, but just to win their division. They're just going to knock each other out. So that'll be interesting to see. But I'm sorry, you go ahead.
Yeah, and then there's also, I know we've already talked about the AFC, but I still think that the Pats are sort of under the radar threat, because I personally don't ever count out Bill Belichick. They've got Cam Newton, which is pretty interesting, I think, to see how he fits into that whole scheme, and they've got a great defense. That's number one. So thinking that, and then obviously going back to the NFC, I would say, yeah, your Saints, 49ers, Packers, and then I'm also excited by the Falcons, just to watch them.
Oh, turn the show off. Turn it off.
Wait, hold on. Didn't say they're contenders. I said I'm fascinated by them. They can be fun to watch sometimes.
They are intriguing. They have talent.
Make me ill. They make me physically ill. They're the equivalent of the Raiders to you. How you see somebody with the Raiders and you like, they're our Raiders with a lot less winning. But yeah.
I think that's a good point Stewart brought up about the Patriots, though. I know we haven't talked about them a lot today, but they have a healthy Cam Newton with Bill Belichick. That's going to cause some problems. I don't know if you'll see, MVP Cam Newton, but they're definitely, to me, I feel like they're still going to win their division. I know Buffalo's kind of up and coming, but Josh Allen, regular Cam Newton.
Like I'm saying, Cam Newton, I think he's only 30 or 31.
He's 31. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
So I mean, nothing but upside to me still left with him. You know, we lived that nightmare for years in the division, so we had to, we had to sweat it out many a game against that guy. Where we feel like we got him, and the next thing you know, he's sprinting down the field for 40 yards. And
and here's the thing. He's confident. He's healthy. And when that man's on a roll, you ain't stopping him. When he's doing his Superman and he's doing the little flick for the first down, like, watch out, man. Your team's about to get destroyed. We know from personal experience.
man, don't even get me started. And it's funny talking to other fans who hate other teams that you don't think of like that. Like the Atlanta Falcons are just some team to you. For us, if we only win 2 games the whole season and it's against Atlanta, season is a complete success. Everything's cool. Probably the same way you feel if you beat the Raiders or if you're beating down the Broncos. But one thing I forgot that we should play with Stewart, that we've done with the other guests that we talk about sports with, it's time to play everybody's favorite game. That's a win, that's a loss. So we're going to go through the Chiefs schedule one by one. Stewart, since this is your squad, you're going to pick which wins are going to be, which ones are going to be wins and which ones are going to be losses. And we're going to see where they end up now. He said they're going to be in the AFC Championship game, so I'm guessing at least 12 wins on here. We're going to see how much of a homer Stewart really is on this. And I should have been better prepared because I don't have the Chiefs schedule up yet. So
I got my other phone. I can pull it up.
Okay.
Stuart, we also have another game we'll play with you. It's called Start, Bench, and Cut. We'll throw some names out there, and you'll have to tell us who you starting, who's getting cut, and who's on the bench.
Okay, sounds good.
So let me pull up Chiefs schedule 2020. All right, so the first game of the season is Chiefs-Texans on Thursday night.
Okay. Well, let's context, first of all. First thing, I think this is when Arrowhead will see the Super Bowl trophy for the first time in public at a game. So it's a must win. And Texans are going to have revenge on their mind. That's for sure. But I think we're going to have a better start than we did in the playoffs. So that's a win.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll
next
week,
week.
we'll score some touchdowns, but we'll outscore them.
Okay, cool. So next week, the following week is Chiefs at Chargers in Los Angeles.
That's a win for the Chiefs.
Okay.
2-0 so far.
2-0 so far.
He's not
The
a homer,
next
though.
game. Well, we'll see. We'll determine that at the end.
All right. So 2-0.
This one will determine where we're going. Week 3, Chiefs at Ravens in Baltimore.
So the games against the Ravens are always very tough. And Lamar Jackson has a way of making, decent defenses or even good defenses look pedestrian. If the Ravens get a lead, they very well could win this game. It's going to be a very close game. But I'm going to go with the win for the Chiefs.
All right, so 3-0. Back in Kansas City against the Patriots. We just talked about Cam Newton and Bill Belichick.
Another close win for the Chiefs.
What a
All right,
brutal.
so 4-0.
Easy. Hold on, man. What a brutal first month. I mean, let me get this
It's
straight.
a pretty tough schedule, right?
Jeez, man. I mean, usually like if this is college football and you're a big powerhouse, you play like Appalachian State and kick the shit out of them first. But no, they got you, playing against the big guns first starting off. So 4-0 already, man.
Yeah, so you got the one
and the game
seed
against Baltimore is Monday Night Football as well.
Yeah, it sure is. Yep. Primetime game. So basically you got 3 out of the 4 that were division winners last year, except the Chargers.
Yeah.
And there's the Chargers are arguably the second most talented team in that division, just with the defense they have. They have good weapons. You just don't know what's going to go on at quarterback. So the Las Vegas Raiders come to town to play the Chiefs in Week 5. Who you got?
At home?
Y'all have them at home, yes.
There's no way we're going to lose at home to the Raiders. Come on now.
All right, so 5-0. No explanation there. The Chiefs go back across the country to play the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen.
It hurts me to say this, but this is a loss. Buffalo Bills have a great defense. If they just get their act together a little bit on offense, I really think they could actually be a great team. So I think that'll be a loss for us because of that really strong defense.
All right, 16. What's the count so far?
So it's 5-1 now. It's 5-1.
All right. So 5-1. Now we're in Week 7. The Chiefs are back on the road, but in Mile High against the Broncos.
Broncos are definitely going to be up for this game. But I think Patrick Mahomes' will to win if he's playing, because this was kind of the stadium where he made his name, so I think he'll want to keep that going. So that's a win for the Chiefs.
So 6-1 so far through 7.
All right, so Week 8 or whatever, well, Game 8. The always competitive New York Jets come to Arrowhead Stadium. Sam Darnold and Le'Veon Bell. Who you got?
Well, if this was the Chiefs' defense of old against Le'Veon Bell, I would have worried. But with the new defense and the new additions, that should be a win for us.
All right. So the next game is who I hope you guys beat in real life. The Carolina Panthers come down to Kansas City.
That's going to be a slippery one. They can run the ball effectively, and we're pretty solid looking defense. We could potentially lose this one, just based on complacency, I think.
So Teddy Two Gloves is going to beat you guys?
It hurts to say, but yes. I think
Okay,
so.
so that's what's that now? We got 2 losses. How many wins? 16.
If that was 8, so that what was that, the 9th? So that's 6-2.
Okay. So fresh
7
off of a loss.
Is it 7 or
Yeah,
6?
7.
You're supposed to be counting, man. I'm
7
reading
and
the
2.
schedule.
It's all right. I'm
Jesus,
keeping.
man.
Okay.
So fresh off of a loss against the Panthers, the Chiefs go into the new Death Star in Las Vegas to play the Raiders.
He laughs again. Every time you say Raiders, he just chuckles, man. He's like, oh, those guys.
Okay, so I have one question. Are the Raiders going to keep the same fans that they had in California, or is it new fans from Vegas?
I would assume that this is a completely different fan base. And this just because I know I have a friend that lives in Oakland, and they were diehard Raiders. And, you just don't know if that's going to travel to Las Vegas.
Right. So I think Vegas, with all the glitz and glamour and the gambling and the free booze when you gamble, will probably, affect the players. They'll have too much fun, so I think we'll probably lose that one. And it's a rival game as well, so the Raiders will be up for it.
So 7-3, still solid, still in good shape.
And so that's back-to-back losses, and here come the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at Tampa.
Okay. In Tampa. I am going to go with a win for the Kansas City Chiefs. And here's why. AFC Championship game the season before last, when we lost to Brady, or when Mahomes lost to Brady, I feel like that spurred him on to win the Super Bowl, but I still feel like he has a chip on his shoulder. So we're going to beat the Bucs.
8-3,
right.
Still solid.
And we appreciate that. Thanks. And now the Denver Broncos come into Kansas City.
In Kansas City, I'm going to say it's another close game with a win for the Chiefs.
So
All right.
sitting at 9-3.
All right, hitting the final stretch. So Chiefs at Miami with potentially either Ryan Fitzpatrick or Tua Tagovailoa at quarterback.
Now, before Stewart answers, I've heard about this before, about this Miami curse, where even if they're bad, but you take your butt to South Beach. Same thing with Las Vegas. You have a little bit of fun. You're out clubbing. The next thing you know, you get clubbed to death on the field. But go let Stewart give his thoughts on that.
You are very right. That is a potential banana skin because people will maybe take their foot off the pedal a little bit, players. But I am going to say the Dolphins did us a favor the last time. They'll do us one more favor. So we're going to win this one.
Well, there you go. So the last 3 games are pretty tough. So fresh off of a win against the Dolphins, you guys come down to the Superdome in New Orleans to play the Saints.
That's a loss for us. And I mean, if the Saints play like they play and they run the ball like they know how to run the ball and pass like they do, it's a loss. It'll be a tight game, but I think that'll be a loss at the Superdome.
16, we're going to have to look up what is the Sunday night football game.
Oh, that's getting
weekend.
That's getting, unless it's
because this game is at 4:25 our time.
Well, who has the game? Because the network that has it might protect that game. Is it Fox that has that game? Because they'll protect those. What week is that? I'm gonna look it up right here, real time, to see who's on Sunday Night Football. What week is that?
That is week 15, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Now, if it's like my favorite, if it's like Bills Bengals on Sunday Night Football, that's not happening. So you said week 15? Let's see.
Yes, if I'm not mistaken.
No, they're not gonna flex this one out. It's 49ers Cowboys. They'll never take away that game.
Oh boy.
You know how the media just loves their Cowboys, whatever. So
Stephen A. Smith says their box office. They people either gonna watch to see the Cowboys win or watch them lose. And I know that sounds crazy. But I mean, people love to watch them lose, and their fans love to watch them win. So it's like there's people invested on both sides.
So Stewart's sitting at 10-4. By the way, when Easy and I picked the schedule, we actually had y'all beating us because we didn't feel like we had enough firepower to keep up with y'all on offense. Like, we got enough, but we feel like y'all might have had a few more weapons. So it's interesting that you said that, that'll be a loss for you. You're still sitting based on what you got at 10-4 with 2 more games to go. So, I mean, that's still a solid record. What we got next, Easy?
Next is the Chiefs hosting the Falcons.
That will be a win for the Chiefs.
And we gladly appreciate you.
We would take it. So 11-4, last game of the season. Most likely with 11 wins, you're definitely a playoff team with 11 wins already. So you're probably fighting for a number 1 or 2 seed at this point. And who did they end it off with?
But knowing the damn NFL schedule makers, the Chargers might be damn 10-5 or something. But they play the Chargers at home. The Chiefs are at home against the Chargers.
If Phillip Rivers was the quarterback, I'd be worried. Because he's had some really good games against the Chiefs. That's why. But given that there's a new quarterback going, and I don't think they will do as well as people think. So that's a win for the Chiefs.
Man, so finishes it off at 12-4. That's absolutely solid. We thought you was gonna go full on.
That was their record last year.
We thought you was gonna go full on homer and just be like, 16-0, we got this, no problem. So Stewart Gatsi
No, I
doing.
have to be. I'm optimistic, but I have to be realistic as well. Like, there's no, you're not going to have a perfect season. And if you do have a perfect season, you know, how likely is it that you're going to go all the way? So
Yeah.
I think some losses in there, like they help you to spur you on. I don't want this feeling again, so I got to win. So I think 12-4 is roughly where we'll end up.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
Well, what do you say for the Saints?
we went
I
through.
forgot what we said.
We I had 12-4 also, if I remember correctly. We had 12-4 also, just based on we were being unbiased too. That's one thing about us. Yeah, we're like you, Stuart. We're huge homers, but at the same time, you can be realistic and know when you feel like you're outmatched or something might be a loss. So yeah, we had 12-4. I got some concerns though, man. Like
Yeah.
this team, they just find a way. We always have that one silly game that we have no business losing that we lose every year. Sometimes there's more than one of them, and it's ridiculously frustrating. So we wanted to segue before we get into doing Don't At Me. Easy came up with his new game last night, and I'm interested to. He was like, "Man, we got to try this out with Stewart." So I'm like, "Hell yeah, I know Stewart will be down to play some sports shenanigans." So Easy, what you got, man? What's this creation you got?
Well, I stole it from a podcast I heard. Ashley Neville, she's an NBA reporter, and she plays this with her guests, and it's called Start, Bench, Cut. So you
Okay.
put like three players up, and you say which one you're starting, which one's on the bench, and which one you're cutting off the team.
Okay.
So, does that make sense, Stuart?
Yeah. Gotcha.
Okay, cool. So we'll start with the NFL. Do you pay attention to NBA basketball?
I do. I'm not as up to date, but I.
Okay, so I got like players that are pretty well known, and then I have some baseball players, but like I said, I don't know if you pay attention to Major League Baseball, so I got a few of those as well. So we'll start with the NFL. At the running back, you have Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, Ezekiel Elliott. Which one are you starting? Which one's on the bench? And which one are you cutting?
Could you repeat those names again?
Saquon Barkley,
Right.
Christian McCaffrey, Ezekiel Elliott.
Okay. I am going to start Ezekiel Elliott, bench Saquon Barkley, and cut Christian McCaffrey.
All right. 16, what do you say?
So I'm starting Saquon Barkley. I am putting Zeke Elliott on the bench, and Christian McCaffrey has to go. He's cut.
Oh wow. See, I answered exactly like Stewart did. I would start Zeke, bench Saquon, and cut Christian McCaffrey, which this was tough for me. So
But you know why I didn't start Zeke? You know my feelings on running backs who look for contact. I tend to avoid those. Like he's gonna wear out faster because he's looking to run through somebody, and those guys don't last that long.
he's
Barkley.
so explosive though. He can catch the ball. Like he's the most. Him and Christian McCaffrey are probably the most consistent. I think if Saquon stays healthy, he's definitely up there as well.
You couldn't lose with any of the three though. You couldn't.
No. So we got another group of running backs. Dalvin Cook, Nick Chubb, Derrick Henry. Whoever wants to go first.
I mean, this for me is that's just a given. Derrick Henry starts. There's no question about that. And then I'll bench Nick Chubb, and Mr. Cook, I think, gets cut.
Oh man, that's
16?
interesting. So for sure, I'm starting. Man, I'm showing my old age. I forgot right off the top of the head. Name him again, man. Sorry, Easy.
Dalvin Cook, Nick Chubb, and Derrick Henry.
Okay, so Derrick Henry is definitely is starting. Derrick Henry on the bench and Chubb, I'm cut.
Okay, so Dalvin Cook is starting?
No, I'm sorry. Dalvin Cook is the one that's getting cut. I'm sorry.
Okay. So for me, I think Derrick Henry's just hitting his stride, so I'm starting him as well. Dalvin Cook is getting cut, and Nick Chubb's on the bench because Nick Chubb's probably the most underrated running back in the league right now. He's only been in the league 2 years, but he's been very consistent. And my fantasy football team thanks him very much.
Fantasy football, God.
All right, so we got some NBA players.
All right.
Anthony Davis, Giannis Antetokounmpo, James Harden.
Oh,
Let's see. I'd go with Anthony Davis to start. Who's the second one?
The Greek Freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo.
All right. Yes. And the other one?
James Harden.
Okay, I'll put the Greek Freak on the bench and cut James Harden.
man, I'm 100% with Stewart on this one, man. He got it perfectly. That can't go wrong with the way he chose it.
I'm going to flip AD and Giannis. I'm going to start Giannis. I'm going to put AD on the bench, and then I'm going to cut James Harden. Only because Giannis has an MVP. He's about to probably get another one, and he's not going to get – well, so far he's been very healthy. He can stay on the court.
Yep.
All right, so a little international football. You got Ronaldo, Neymar, or Lionel Messi.
Oh, gee. Oh, okay. Right. I will put Ronaldo to start. And I know there's a debate. Oh, Ronaldo, Messi. I'll go with Ronaldo because he can score with both feet. He can head the ball. He can kick the ball. He's pretty fast. And I think his dribbling skills are a little more appealing to the eye. Put Messi on the bench, and Neymar just dives too much, so I'll cut him.
I agree with you 100%. 16, you know any of these folks?
No, I know who Messi is for sure, and I know who Ronaldo is. But I'm gonna agree with Stewart because he's the guru when it comes to soccer. So I'm gonna have to tip my cap to him on that one, man. I can't go against what he said, man. He's a super fan, so I'm gonna roll with what Stewart said on that one.
Yeah. Do you think Messi? Just a little quick segue, real quick. Is Messi overrated?
No. In my opinion, no. The thing with Messi, in my opinion, like, he's great to watch, but you know exactly what he's gonna do. Yet the defenders still can't stop him. It's like Iverson's gonna do the crossover. He's about to do it. You know he's gonna do it, but still nobody can stop him doing it.
I don't think he's overrated either. I just think that, him not having a World Cup is definitely hurting on the resume.
Right. Yeah.
And Ronaldo being able to get one, along with all the bajillion accolades that he has, I think that's what put Ronaldo over the top.
Right.
All right, so back to the NFL. This is the first round of quarterbacks. We got Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Drew Brees.
Oh, gee. Okay. Wow. We're just talking quarterbacks here, right? Not teams.
Yeah. This is your franchise. Who are you starting?
I would start
on the bench.
I would start Aaron Rodgers just because he's just, he's Aaron Rodgers. And then I would put Drew Brees on the bench and cut Tom Brady. And here's the thing, right? Tom Brady, great quarterback, effective under a scheme. But I honestly think that if you put Tom Brady in a bad team, he wouldn't be as effective as Aaron Rodgers. That's my opinion. So I would cut Tom Brady. I know he's the GOAT, all that stuff, but I just don't see what the big deal is about.
So I guess
16?
so feel like I'm copying Stewart, but I would go the exact same way. I would if this was a few years ago, I would have put Drew ahead of Aaron Rodgers just because I'm a homer like that. But you got to put Aaron first because he's like the 5-tool quarterback. And I put Drew over Tom Brady because we joke about this, but Drew Brees, some quarterbacks out there completing 60% of his passes. He laughs at that, like 60%. I'll see you better. I'll complete 70%. So he's going to be accurate. He's going to, for the most part, take care of the ball. And then for Brady, it's just only due to the fact that the two other guys have superior skills to him. But you couldn't go wrong with any three of these. But I agree with Stewart's list. That's a long way of disagreeing with Stewart.
No, I agree with both of y'all. I would just flip Drew and Aaron Rodgers just because I feel like Drew has done a lot more when given less. There was like a little stretch where Aaron Rodgers was kind of funky and he didn't really have like a number one threat. And I feel like Michael Thomas has been like the first legit number one threat that Drew Brees has ever had.
Well, Marcus
since
Colston.
Jimmy Graham.
Marcus Colston was.
Yeah, but come on, like nobody talks about Marcus Colston, and that's my favorite Saint. Like I love Marcus Colston. He never made a Pro Bowl. Nobody ever raved about him. Whereas everybody is whether you hate Michael Thomas or not, you know about him. You know his accolades. He's won an NFL Offensive Player of the Year. Obviously Jimmy Graham comes to mind. I just feel like this is the first time that Drew's had a truly elite weapon that's been consistent and healthy for him.
Nice.
Because, Drew Brees has made people like Lance Moore and David Copper.
I don't want to get you started
famous.
On
so I'm just saying, like,
all right.
He's done more or less. The second round of quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson.
Wow.
He's acting like he's considering.
Okay. You all know who number one is, right?
Clearly, right. Lamar Jackson, right? Gotcha.
So Patrick Mahomes obviously is number one. I don't have to justify that. I just have to say left-handed pass. That's all I have to say. And no look pass. But my challenge comes when comparing Russell Wilson to Lamar Jackson. Lamar is great at running. As I said, he's still working on his throwing. I think he could definitely be more effective. But Russell Wilson's won the Super Bowl already. So Patrick Mahomes to start, Russell Wilson on the bench with a couple of cameo appearances here and there. And Action Jackson, I'm sorry, he's got to go.
All right, so Stuart's going to feel like I'm just copying off his paper in school, but I absolutely agree the same way. You can't argue with it. Even if you were to flip them around, it still would be Mahomes first, no matter who your second guy is. Mahomes is going to be first. But Russell Wilson or Lamar Jackson, you couldn't go wrong with either one, but Stewart's list is exactly how I would put mine.
And I guess I'm cheating off of both of y'all's papers because I agree. Since we're taking credit, Ezra was number one on the Russell Wilson hype train the second he stepped foot into the state of Washington.
Okay. Let me tell Stewart real quick. The more you hang around us and become a closer friend of the show, you're going to learn that Ezra has these easy was right moments where he will conveniently remind you about how ahead of the game he was on something. And he lives for these. You look at the big cheesy grin on his face because now that's different that we're doing video. You can look at him, the cheesy thumbs up. So he's going to get a lot of those in. Yeah, he was in on Russell Wilson before. I was not sold on him at first. Now I am sold.
So the argument was, I think this was like 2014, 2015.
Yep.
It was 14. I just came out. I was like, look, Russell Wilson's an elite quarterback. And my brother almost about killed me. He's like, how can you say that? Like he was just like I had offended him or something. And I'm like, dude, look at it. Seattle was 8-8. really they were kind of the worst kind of bad. They were good enough to be good, but bad enough to still be bad and just teetering at 7-9, 8-8. Russell Wilson comes in and they automatically make the playoffs. They haven't missed the playoffs since he's been there. In my opinion, along with that great draft class that they had, he literally turned that franchise around. And they have been what they've never been, which is a top-tier NFL franchise that is going to make the playoffs and going to be competitive every year. And I think he is one of the sole reasons why that's the case. Mm-hmm. Because Pete Carroll was there before.
Yeah.
He had Matt Hasselbeck. He had Tavares Jackson. Russell Wilson got there, and they completely turned the page. And, there was like a moment where Richard Sherman and them were salty because Russell Wilson was getting the 5-star treatment. I'm sitting here like, hey, look, y'all look great. Don't get it wrong.
No, they made the right choice,
But
man.
Russell Wilson is a superstar.
They made the right choice.
You want to talk about somebody who has had no kind of weapon since he's been in the league. He's got Tyler Lockett now, but he's thrown to nobody. He's had no good receivers. They brought in Sidney Rice, and he was a bust. They brought in Percy Harvin. He lasted maybe 2 seasons. So he's been consistent while everything else around him has changed. That defense is completely different now. The team is completely different now. And he's been the one consistent thing that has kept them relevant and winning.
Yeah. I mean, but I agree. But I guess you were on the bandwagon before it was a bandwagon.
Don't please, Stewart, don't feed this anymore because, man, can we just keep it moving, please? Can we just keep
All
it
right.
moving?
So we're back to the NBA. Steph Curry, Damian Lillard, Chris Paul.
All right. I'm gonna go with Steph Curry to start. Chris Paul on the bench, and Damian Lillard gets cut.
I'm flipping. Like, of course, Steph Curry is first, but I'm going with Dame second and cutting Chris Paul. And I'm gonna tell you, that's really actually just due to a birthday standpoint. Because if we're talking about it's just based on age on that one. Because Chris Paul can still play, but just basing it on a birthday standpoint, that's the only reason why he's. I'm going with him.
Fair enough.
This one was tough for me. And I love Dame. Like, I love Dame Dollar. But I think I'm going to agree with Stewart. As much as it hurts me to say, I'm better off just not answering it. Because I love Dame. Like, I love Damian Lillard.
That dude he can play, man. He can go.
Chris Paul.
He can, but Chris Paul has the skill of just making people around him better. Chris Paul, I mean, come on. When he was in New Orleans, bro, he was making Carl Landry look like a perennial power forward. Like, there were some guys that we had in New Orleans that had
him and Tyson Chandler together. Like, yeah, he did. But I'm still kind of salty about the way he left. So I'm keeping my Chris Paul opinions like short and sweet because I'm not,
Yeah, he did leave us.
Their personal opinions in there. All right.
Yes.
It's okay. I got 2 more. One NBA and then one Olympic themed.
All right.
All right. LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard.
That was too easy, man.
Yeah. I mean,
is it though?
It's LeBron.
Well, we know LeBron.
You have to start LeBron, and then Kevin Durant on the bench, and Kawhi Leonard gets cut.
Man, LeBron, obviously, the whole league is LeBron.
It is right now, but there's I have my own also further opinions regarding LeBron, but that's for another day.
But yeah, LeBron. I'm actually gonna bench Kawhi and I'm cutting KD. And
I agree.
Oh,
yeah,
I
really?
agree.
yeah. And for KD,
No,
a lot of players like that Achilles injury on a player with his type of explosiveness. I know Kawhi had his injuries too, but just based on the fact that I feel like he's more well built, Kawhi is. That's probably my reason for. But yeah, that's what I'm going with. And Easy, you saying you would go the same way too?
I would go the same way. Just Kevin Durant's health is the main concern. If you have a healthy Kevin Durant, then it's obviously Stewart's lineup for
Yep.
sure. But
And even
Kawhi's been more consistent,
based on the
and he
birthday
showed you
standpoint,
that he takes it. Well, yeah, you got the birthday issue as well. But Kawhi showed you what he can do in the playoffs.
yep.
Like he's showed you over and over again. So yeah. All right. Last one, Olympic themed. Michael Phelps, Usain Bolt, Simone Biles.
Oh, you love making my life difficult.
What he does, man.
I think personally these are pretty challenging.
Oh, gee. Okay. Well, you see, the challenge is you have, a pretty fast guy in water, and then you have the fastest man on land, and then you also have, one of the greatest gymnasts we've seen in our lifetime. So I'm going to go with Michael Phelps to start, because I believe I can win more gold medals with him in his prime. We're talking about him in his prime. And then I will bench Simone. And reason being, she can also win me a lot of medals. So collectively, I can get more medals from them in total. Usain Bolt, yes, he'll win the 100, 200, and the relay, but that's probably it. He's not going to do long jump or triple jump or decathlon or anything else. So as a team, Michael Phelps to start and Simone Biles as a sub on the bench.
So for me, I'm keeping the same bench player, but I'm flip-flopping. So I'm cutting Michael Phelps and I'm starting Bolt.
Okay. So why are you cutting Michael Phelps? Is it because of the drug allegations?
No, I don't know. I'm just basing it on the fact that I find Bolt more entertaining. That's where I went with it. I just personally find him more entertaining, more colorful.
I can see that. And he brings a crowd for sure. People want to see him.
Yeah, that's the problem now that he brought a crowd, but
Yeah, that's
the
another
Rona.
story for another day.
All right.
I would agree with Stewart on that one. And just real quick, NFL receivers: Michael Thomas, Julio Jones, DeAndre Hopkins.
Michael Thomas.
This dude is not playing fair, man. Like, turn this game off, man. Enough. All right.
Well, that's the last one. The other phone is away.
I can't complain that it's too early in the morning here anymore, but still, like.
All right. Okay. Repeat that. Michael Thomas, Julio Jones,
DeAndre Hopkins, and Julio Jones.
Ooh. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna start with Julio Jones. I think he's on that list. He's probably the most consistent receiver I've seen. And then I will bench Anthony Hopkins because he's had some pretty decent games against the Chiefs as well. So I think he's a very effective receiver. And then cut Michael Thomas.
This one is probably the hardest one out of all these, man. But I'm a homer, so Michael Thomas is starting. I'm benching DeAndre Hopkins and I'm cutting Julio Jones because that brother cannot stay on the field. He is outstanding, but he is, as what my brother would say, he's on the all Band-Aid team. In the last 4 years, he cannot stay on the field. So just based on that.
All right.
Yeah, Julio is starting for me because, to your point, he is all Band-Aid. He he's gonna have some kind of injury every year.
Yep.
But that motherfucker plays through it. He plays through it, and he's still very elite when he plays, even if he's at 80 or 70%. So Julio's is starting for me. Michael Thomas is on the bench. And DeAndre Hopkins is getting cut. And I say that, God, it just hurts me to say that because I think DeAndre Hopkins has like the best hands in the league. Like, I think he makes catches. Like, he's frankly bailed out a lot of people. I mean, before Deshaun Watson got there, bro, he was catching passes from Brock Osweiler and Tom Savage. So, God.
Bro, you forget about TJ Yates, man. TJ Yates.
There you go.
Jesus Christ. Like, consistency is not an issue for DeAndre Hopkins. No. Me and you, we could play quarterback for whatever team he's on, and he's going to perform. So, yes. This ain't no shot at DeAndre Hopkins. They're all great. It's just Michael Thomas is really good.
Okay.
In my opinion. He doesn't just run slant routes.
All right,
so that's all we got.
What was the name of this game, Easy? I don't want to mess it up. What was it? What's it called?
Start, bench, cut.
All right, so this concludes whatever Easy just said. It was a lot of fun. Yeah. Bro, no matter what platform we on, the high budget applause always is there. All right, so now we're going to get into a little shortened up version of our favorite thing to play on the radio show, The Aftermath. And by the way, just to put this out here for Stewart, his EP, Songs on My Bike, is available on Tidal, Spotify, Deezer, wherever you stream your music. Go check out his EP. It is very good. You will be better for listening to it. So let's get into Don't At Me because Stewart knows all about that. All right, Stewart.
All right.
All right, so when you're in the drive-thru, do you check your bag or do you just drive off?
In a drive-thru, I check my bag. Don't at me.
Easy, man.
I'm gonna say check my bag, don't at me, but I am not consistent with it.
You're not.
Sometimes I do.
You immediately start eating fries. You immediately start eating fries. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
That's it.
Wait,
didn't put the onions or whatever the case may be.
Right.
Got you. All right. For me, I have to check the bag because I'm coming home to, I got 3 girls in the house, and if something is wrong, it's like a disaster. So I have to make sure and check it out, man. All right. What's the better feeling? The Friday night after work or waking up on Saturday and knowing you don't have to go to work?
Ooh. So you're asking the Friday after work or waking up on Saturday? I will probably say waking up on Saturday. Don't at me.
It's freaking sweet. Easy, man.
Man, it's the Friday leaving work. You've been waiting since Monday for this day. And as soon as you get in your car, get on your bike, whatever you use to leave work, and you know that you ain't got to go back till Monday, that's the best feeling.
Let me tell you, I'm going to agree with Easy. You can't go wrong with either one, but it's definitely that Friday. I violently shut down my laptop yesterday and took a victory lap. So, yeah, it's Friday night. You're probably going to play video games or other shenanigans. So, yeah, definitely that one. All right. Here's a retread, and I'd love to know Stewart's on this one. iPhone or Android?
Consistently thus far, I have been using Android. So I'm biased. Android. Don't at me.
I might have to add you on this one. Easy, what about you, man? I already know the answer to this, but I just got to,
Yeah, it's iPhone. I've had both. And I've just had a bad batch of phones with Android, but it's iPhone, man.
Yeah, I'm with it. It's iPhone. I'm an Apple guy. I had an Android for 3 years only out of necessity, but I'm a iPhone all the way. All right, Stuart, last one. And this is probably
right.
going to start an argument, but it's fine. That's what we do here.
All right.
PlayStation, Xbox.
Okay. So PlayStation holds memories, of course, and it's older than Xbox, and it's gone through this evolution from 2D all the way to 3D. But then Xbox arrived, and they had Halo. So I'm going to go with Xbox. Don't at me.
Stuart, did we just
he was God, I just knew what he was gonna say. He said, "Well, PlayStation has memories." I just knew it. Golly.
Stuart, I got to get your gamer tag, man, because I'm a Halo head too, man. We got to play some Master Chief Collection, man. We got to play some Halo Reach, man.
Oh, that would be great. I have a Nintendo Switch.
I got to Switch too, man.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
have to give myself an Xbox for sure.
Yes. So we can get on there and play some Halo, man. Easy, man. I already know what yours is, so you can go ahead and say it for the record so it can be on the show, but go ahead. But that's one in my corner.
For the record, I have both systems. I'm looking at both of them right now. It's PlayStation, and I know I'm outnumbered, and this is the first time on this show.
Can you tell us why?
For me, I have both systems, so I just enjoy the user, being able, I just like the controllers. I like the games that they offer. To me, the user experience is better on PlayStation. But I will say that Xbox app is tens and miles better than PlayStation's. Like, PlayStation got some work to do on the apps, and I see why people love Xbox, because Xbox is great in its own right. But I think for me, because I've had a PlayStation so long, that's why I lean more PlayStation. But Xbox is great in its own right, especially that app.
All right. So we just played a abridged version of it, but it's always around. Playing Don't At Me, Stewart Gatsi. How about the applause on the first video version of the Aftermath? Yes. Man, Stewart, man, it's cool to connect with you again. I know we had a conversation on the radio before, but it's cool to connect via video and just shoot the breeze about sports and just have a fun conversation. So, man, we appreciate you making the time, because I know it's late where you are. You know, the day really just got started for us over here in the States, but it's late where you are. So we appreciate you taking time out of your evening to come, you know, play in our little sandbox here, man.
Yeah, no worries. I appreciate it. Always have a great time with you guys. So, you know, anytime you want me back, just, give me a shout.
Oh, for sure, man. You know, we're gonna keep doing this, man, as the season progresses. We're gonna see how our predictions and stuff, you know, panned out. But yeah, definitely gonna do this again soon. And we're gonna actually start kind of migrating into video and seeing how this works as well for the show, and try to, you know, evolve and go to that next level. But yeah, you got anything that's coming out that people need to know about?
At the moment, I'm primarily just working on promotions for my new book, Rough Guide to Planet Earth. The next thing I have lined up is I'm scheduled to appear on a Singaporean podcast.
Nice.
And this will be this coming week. So that's going to be quite interesting. So we'll be talking about the book and then just myself in general. So that's going to be quite fun. Yeah. And of course, yeah, the book's still available on Amazon. And yeah, check it out.
Excellent read. I can speak from experience. It's an excellent read. You should definitely check it out. You will be thoroughly entertained, and you're going to learn a lot from it. So, yes, dude, we definitely appreciate that, man. And, you know, thanks for coming on again. Definitely appreciate you.
Yeah, no worries. Good to be here.
Yes, sir.